All right, Patrick, next, and this is the segment I've been waiting for the most, which is there is some evidence of some distressed sellers that is starting to pop up all over the place. And we got a couple of great charts to show, but also I'm seeing this evidence kind of like, feet on the street as I do my thing on a day to day basis with my team and everything that we do, managing, hundreds of units. I'm seeing this, but definitely there's some evidence of distress and there's some real opportunities for real estate investors to provide real solutions for people. So this is interesting. And I look at this, frankly, myself, Patrick, me, I got rose colored glasses. So everything for me is always like hunky dory, just like the fireworks. You see the fireworks there?
Yeah,
And this is interesting because I think this is an opportunity to help people as they go through. Of course, nobody likes to see distress, but anytime you're going to have the market do what it's done in the last little bit, where it goes up so aggressively, rates go up so aggressively, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be distress, and now there's an opportunity for real estate investors to help.
Let this be the hour when we draw swords together.
JG, let's just go back in time a little bit. It was probably a year ago, maybe not quite, and we started really saying to the RAIN community, guys, start to look at education and some advanced strategies, understanding agreements for sale, understanding rent to own, understanding wholesaling. Get that education now, because these are the things that are going to start showing up. Well, here they are. And things are, in fact, doing exactly what we said they would, where you're starting to see people who have problems that need problems solved. And if you're an educated investor, if you're a sophisticated investor, if you understand agreements for sale, rent to own, wholesaling, vendor financing, you're now there and you can start to solve these problems and take advantage of them. And that's exactly what's starting to unfold. And, it's really patient money. But I think there's something that you said that triggered a thought process to me, which is I think you may find some people are going to try and time the market. In other words, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'm not going to jump into anything yet. And my kind of suggestion around that, and JG, I'd like to hear your view of it, you're in the trenches every day, is to say, no, when the deal shows up, if the math is right, if you see a long-term future, depending on what your strategy is, of course, but when you look and see the opportunity's there today based on the math. And if you try and say, well, it could show up better next month, in 6 months, I think you're taking a risk of leaving a lot on the table doing that. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think trying to time the market is that's a short-term view. Anytime you're trying to time the market, you're really thinking about the market in either weeks or months at very best. When we know real estate works best when you think about it in 5-year, 8-year, 10-year increments, Patrick. So, if a deal makes sense today and say what's funny is, and just so everybody knows, I struggle with this too. I recently bought a property for $375,000. I didn't even think, Patrick, I would ever buy a property for $375,000 again. I didn't even know the threes were going to I'd ever see a three again. So I bought it for $375,000, and shortly after I bought it, I thought to myself, and by the way, I bought that in September, what's now November, and I'm starting to think, is there going to be better deals to be had? Well, maybe I can buy something for $350,000 or $355,000, but is it really going to make a difference? And this particular property I bought for $375,000 is an absolute gem. It needs a ton of work. I probably need to dump about $250,000 into it, but the location is incredible. I cannot find a better location. It's got no neighbors. It's literally ideal. And that's what people, when you start playing the timing game, what happens is you start to negate some of those subtle features and subtle factors that really contribute to the property. You start to negate them, like the location, for example. Could you buy a cheaper property? Yes, you can. But will it be that good of a deal when it factors the location, when it factors all the features of the property and the land and the trees and all of that? You got to look at the big picture, Patrick. And I think timing the market typically doesn't work because you end up spending more time and more energy trying to time the market. And as a result, you're probably, quite frankly, not going to do a very good job of it anyways. You're much more likely to be successful being in the market than timing the market.
100%. And, it's in this market, and that's what I believe as well, is timing it is that to your point, in the short term, you may go, oh gosh, 25 grand, I left 25 grand on the table. Maybe that might be your story. But ultimately, when we look at getting the deal done, do the math. Does the math work? Does it make sense? Does it fit your strategy? And what is it going to look like in 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now? That really is ultimately the question. Unless you're literally trying to get in and out, then you're having to play the timing, the market game, but that's a different strategy.
Yeah, 100%. Now, what we got is two charts here, folks, which I think are quite fascinating. The first one is these are, and by the way, this is a Toronto Real Estate Board. The reason we often use Toronto Real Estate Board stats here is because the biggest board by far. So it kind of gives you a bit of a cross section of the market, especially in Ontario. But the TREB listings that include the words power of sale or mortgage in the seller in the listing. And as a result of this, this becomes very, very interesting. And this is in the seller's name specifically. So these are distressed sales. Back in, and this chart starts at the beginning of 2022, you can see a serious ramp up from essentially 0 listings mentioning the words power of sale or mortgage in the seller's name, all the way up to just under 90 now. Now, 90 out of 30,000, 35,000 isn't that many, Patrick, but the point is it's still 90. It's from 0 to 90. So they're out there. And if that's how many are on the market, there's a lot more that are not on the market, that are off the market. The point is it's starting to show up now, some of this evidence of distressed sellers. And it's the same with the words vendor take back or VTB as part of the listings. This was virtually non-existent. Patrick, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, you could not do a VTB deal if your life depended on it. And we just have a friend of ours, you and I, Patrick, who just did a VTB deal and got a 100% financing by the seller, I believe, or 95% financing.
95%. Yeah, it's the 90%, I think, or 95%. Yeah.
$13.5 million VTB. I say thumbs up to that. That's the kind of opportunities that are available in the market. And that's because we're in this market chaos. So the point is, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of bad things going on right now, a lot of things to look out for, but there's also a lot of opportunity, Patrick.
If you're not making money hand over fist, something's terribly wrong.
And on that deal, by the way, I think the interest rate was 3.5%, might have even been 3%. Like, it's smoke and deal. But those opportunities are showing up. But I want to really kind of shine a light on, and although it's anecdotal and I could dig for it, most of what we're seeing in this kind of distressed sale world is in fact speculators who never intended to close on their pre-construction deal. Now those deals are coming to fruition. They have to get a mortgage. They can't get a mortgage. They got to get from under it. And I mean, literally, I'm seeing stuff where people are leaving 200 grand on the table. And that's a big part of it. There is a part of it as well that people bought a house, getting it built. Now they have to go back to the bank. And guess what's happening? They're not appraising for the same value that they paid for it in the height of the market. Oh, no. And the bank's going, okay, so you need to come up with an extra 100 grand, 200, 300 grand, whatever the number is. And they're going, I'm out. So they're literally having to walk away from those deals and try and sell them to somebody who will pick up the slack.
Yeah, and these are, these are opportunities for real estate investors who are sophisticated to help these people out of a very, very tough situation. And like you said, Patrick, I mean, we're seeing it. I mean, the deal we're giving an example of right now was was a huge Airbnb complex, essentially almost like a hotel. There's a lot of commercial deals going through this. There's a lot of residential deals going through. Essentially, every property type in every asset type is going through some of this in some way, shape, or form, some more than others, which is why, Patrick, by the way, we recently launched our Investor Concierge service, which is completely free, and it helps connect people with these kinds of deals, because there are some people that are in the market that for years, and how many times, Patrick, did we hear people tell us, oh, I can't wait to get a deal. I can't wait till the market cools off. I can't wait. Well, those people that are still in the market looking for great deals, we've launched this free Investor Concierge service exactly for this purpose. And we're going to put the instructions in the comments on how to exactly sign up to the Investor Concierge. You can sign up, you can text your information and get signed up. It's absolutely free. And then anytime some of these incredible off-market deals come into our sphere, we pass it on to you. We don't sell any real estate, Patrick. That's not what we do. We don't sell real estate, but we'd love to connect some investors with some incredible opportunities.
100%. And that really is, again, it's all about embracing technology. It's about taking advantage of the community, of the RAIN community, and finding those kind of deals in this market and helping people solve problems, because there's lots of problems out there.
Now, a couple more anecdotal evidence, Patrick, of some of this, this evidence of distress. I'll just call it distress in the market. Here's what's interesting. This happened yesterday, Patrick, where I've been trying to get a mason, and people who do masonry are far and few between nowadays. It's not a trade that's easily accessible anymore. So I've been trying to get a mason to do some brickwork at one of my buildings for years. And it's too small of a project, so nobody ever wants to do it. It's maintenance work. It's not interesting to a lot of people. So I've been getting the runaround for years, Patrick. Well, I got a phone call yesterday, and I talked to this mason, and he tells me, and get this, I haven't seen this happen in so long. The mason says, I can be there tomorrow. I'm not kidding you. I can be there tomorrow. And they started this morning, and they're on time, and they're doing a great job. And I'm just like, wow, this is real evidence of the distress in the market. I'll give you another example, Patrick. I got a phone call last week. I'm not sure if I shared this with you. I got a phone call last week at Vista Property Group, our construction division. One of our plumbing contractors called us and says, guys, we got no work on the books this week. Do you guys have any jobs you want us to do? I mean, when was the last time I had a plumber called me and say, I got no jobs on the books this week? Incredible. I was talking to an electrician contractor of ours. He said it's the slowest summer he's had in 11 years. I mean, this is real. And by the way, here's what's interesting, Patrick. None of them are stressed about it. None of them are concerned about it. All of them are kind of taking the breath of fresh air to breathe and to take a moment to, recalibrate their businesses or whatever the case may be. So I'm not getting any stress out of it, but let me tell you, it's very, very interesting what's happening in the market right now. And again, that opens up opportunities for people who are looking to build, looking to do renovations. The pricing of this stuff is definitely coming down. There's no doubt about it. So interesting.
Well, this goes back to what I just said earlier, which is that, when you start to see sales come down, housing sales slow down, is such a big part of our economy. And you just had the experience, a mason, an electrician, a plumber. These are jobs that are starting to slow down. So, the trades guy who's handy and he's working by him, on his own, he just keeps working on his own. Now he doesn't have 2 or 3 guys that he's hired to do the job. So that is the challenge that we will face and we'll start to see grow into the future, which is a lot of slowdown in that, I guess, in that trade based job market because of the slowdown in housing. The ripple effect of a slowdown of sales of housing is pretty big. Administratively, service-wise, trades-wise, as you pointed out, then leads into what they're buying for supplies. So all of it is a big ripple effect in our economy.
Well, and I'll give some investors some pro tips on how to leverage what's happening right now. So I'll give you a perfect example. When I got the call from the plumbers saying, hey, we have no job scheduled. Well, they had quoted some work for some of our projects that we were going to do in a couple months. We actually brought those timelines up and said, guys, no problem. You can go do this work, but you quoted $4,200 for that. We need a better price. Bring that price down to $3,600. Bring that price down to $3,800. So you're able to get deals. And this is how, as real estate investors, you should leverage this incredible opportunity. Because another thing we're seeing, and we were just talking to one of the producers off camera about this, is the sales that are out there, Patrick, for materials right now are just crazy. There's no doubt. And if people follow, experts like Kathy Wood, for example, she's been talking a long time about the inventory buildup that's been coming. And I think we're really starting to see not only retailers, but wholesalers having to offload that inventory now, and incredible sales coming as a result. So you can pick up things that would typically cost you, X, you're picking it up for Y, and that difference is money in your pocket.
100%. And if you were, and for those who kept a little bit of dry powder, great opportunity to take advantage of some deals. If you like what you learned here, go to the description below and subscribe for our free Insiders newsletter, where you can also stay up to date for our upcoming events and our courses.
you want to see more stuff like this, click here. If you want to see the entire show, click there.